What's good, people? Welcome back to the channel, the page, wherever you're at. Today is about a month since I dropped the EP, My Father's Son, and what I wanted to do was go through some of the stats and numbers from the last 30 days to show you how the EP has done since I dropped it, all right? So if we just look here at my Spotify channel, page, whatever you want to see, you can see I dropped My Father's Son on the 23rd of February. So it's just over a month. If we go to my artist page, you can see I'm sitting on 902 monthly listeners, and then I've got one track that's on top doing the best so far with 1,333 streams. So what I'm going to do is jump straight into the Spotify for Artists page, and let me refresh it so it's the most up to date and show you exactly what has been going on. So I'm going to show you the last 28 days. You can see up here just to the right, and overall I've got 154 active monthly listeners, and active monthly listeners is slightly different to my overall listenership. Those active listeners are people who are actively going to my Spotify channel or page and streaming, or some active action to listen to the music. These 902 listeners are not necessarily active. Maybe it's coming on as part of a playlist and they're just letting it run, or some other way. So in total we've got 105 saves, 93 playlist ads, 4.3k streams overall, and about 4.8 streams per listener, which is down from 90. This is down 92%. And I think in the first couple of days or something, some of you lovely people were just kind of streaming the hell out of it. But obviously that's not the case anymore. What we're looking at now is a more true reflection of how people are actually listening to it. So from the 23rd of February up to the 4th of March, that's probably where a lot of that was happening. And we can dig a little bit deeper in and see exactly where. So actually it was the 7th of March. For whatever reason, someone or some people were going crazy with 95 streams on average per listener that day, but that was only one day. All right, so that's an abnormal spike, so I'm inclined to write that off. And then you can see it's more like 4, 11, 3, 1.2, 5, so a bit more sensible. Only 10 followers though, out of 4.3 thousand streams, only 10 followers, and out of 900 listeners, only 10 followers. So it's less than, it's just above 1%. All right, conversion from listeners to followers, which in my opinion is very low. And you can see these numbers are crazy: 7.4 thousand % increase in listenership, 1.8 on monthly active listeners, So let's see where these numbers actually came from. So we can see some segments here. I've got 909 total listeners in my audience. You can kind of see how it's split up between active and previously active and program sources. But I don't find this really gives us much insight. Like, these are listeners who only streamed your music from programmed sources like editorials, Discover Weekly, autoplays, radio. So these kind of automatic playlists and things, which is a lot in my case. 751 listeners are coming off of playlists and stuff. But what exactly? I would really like more detail on this page. Let's have a quick look at demographics. 14% are female, 82% are male, 1 non-binary and 3 not specified. Again, it doesn't really give us that much info. Let's have look at some locations of where these people are. So a lot of my listenership, 75% of my active listenership, are from the UK, which is to be expected because I'm a UK artist. But very close behind, I've got 160 listeners compared to 174 in the US. Only 3.8% of my active listenership, but it is still a high percentage of listeners. Then I've got Brazil, South Africa, Nigeria, Mexico, Germany, Indonesia, Kenya, France, Canada, the Philippines, Chile, Australia. And these are some really good numbers, because it's not just like one person in Germany It's 24 people in Germany. And it's not just one person in Japan, it's 11 people in Japan. And I'm particularly interested in these listeners in Japan because Japan is a notoriously hard music market to get into because it is kind of separate from the rest of the world in terms of how they have their music business and industry set up. So that's really nice to see. Top cities are Sao Paulo, Johannesburg, Nairobi, Santiago, Lagos, Birmingham, Abuja. So Nigeria, big up yourselves, man, because there's quite a few listeners there from around Nigeria, man. Pretoria in South Africa, some good places that come on, big up Queens, some great places. Let's see how people are engaging. Of your 58 monthly active listeners, 58, which is 100%, intentionally streamed this release in the first 28 days. So that's great. So there's a little snapshot of how my Spotify is doing in terms of listenership, where they're listening from. But let's have a look at what they're listening to. So in total, we've got 4,294 streams for My Father's Son as an EP. Lowest number of streams, Dreaming of Beats. No, the shyest, which is kind of like a freestyle. Got 12 saves though, across 52 listeners. Biggest, the largest streamed track is The Difference with 1,218 streams from 600 listeners, and it's got 40 saves. So that's not too bad. Less than 10% of people have saved it. 40 saves is not bad still. Now I thought the biggest track would have been My Father's Son. It's kind of the lead single. It's got two of us on it, me and a friend Koha, to kind of double the kind of promotion power. Now these two tracks, My Father's Son and The Difference, I done a campaign on, and let's have a look at the campaigns. So I ran one campaign from Spotify with a budget of £100, and you can see so far out of that £100 budget, £94 has been spent. So nearly complete. That campaign started on the 19th of March. A reach of 8,875 total eyes or impressions, so times that the track or EP appeared in a search or appeared on someone's screen, and only 301 clicks. So again, less than 10%. I'm not entirely sure about the percentage there, but less than 10% nonetheless. But 111 converted listeners, which is not bad, 111 converted listeners from a campaign. That's almost right £1 a listener. All right, it's worked out a little bit better than £1 a listener. But if we just say for £100, I gained 100 converted listeners. Gaining a listener per pound it's a significant investment in my opinion. Out of those 111 people, and it was an average of 2.5 streams per listener with an average of 6.3 saves, which is, it's not too bad actually, but at the same time, it's not huge. So let's have a look at where the rest of my listenership come from. Obviously there was some of you, friends, family that streamed and shared, but I ran a campaign with a website called SubmitHub. Now when I was a lecturer at Big Creative Academy, part of the production course that I wrote incorporated how to use SubmitHub, because I think SubmitHub is one of the most cost-effective, transparent and genuine platforms for putting your music before playlisters, before promoters, before bloggers, and if you really do want, also before influencers. Now I didn't put it before influencers, I only chose bloggers and playlisters. So let's see how that done. So the first track that I sent to SubmitHub for promotion was My Father's Son featuring Koha. You can manually select what curators you want to send your music to and then pitch manually. However, I chose a slightly more expensive method where you choose the track you want and the genres that you want to target, and they do it on your behalf. So they ran a Meta ad campaign for me. Now, I don't have a Facebook account, and I never saw my track pop up in my Instagram feed, but some of you may have. If you did, leave me a comment below and say, hey, I saw it on Facebook, or I saw it on Instagram as an ad, and at least then I'll know that it was before Genuine Eyes. However, the Meta ad that they ran made about 23,000 impressions, and I'm assuming that's from people scrolling past on an Instagram feed, in ads on Facebook, and wherever else Facebook or Meta run ads. Out of that total potential 23,000 people that saw it, 833 people clicked, and out of those 833 people, 78 actually opened up Spotify, which is 9.4% people, which is just under 10%. Most businesses don't have a 10% conversion rate. I'm not saying you should aim for 10%, expect more, of course, but 10% is not bad, all right? And that's actually better than what happened on Spotify. So let's see exactly what it got promoted to. So 5 of the shares were to Spotify playlists and 3 were to blogs, and the engagement for those Spotify playlists is estimated to be about 300 to 600 listeners over the course of 2 weeks. And these are the places that accepted the music and shared it somewhere. So we've got Rebel, which is a Spotify playlist. Let's have a quick look. Hip Hop Altitudes. That's one thing about SubmitHub. They monitor and regulate the playlisters on there, make sure they're legitimate playlists, that they're not bot farmed playlists, because there's tons of companies out there saying, we'll get you 10,000 streams in a month or whatever. Like, do not spend your money there, all right? A lot of those are just bot farms posing as industry promoters, and they may even be people with industry links. But one thing you must remember is these people cannot guarantee you a playlist spot, all right? Unless it's their playlist and they are the curator, they cannot guarantee you a spot. And if they can guarantee you a spot with a certain amount of plays, this is where you want to start thinking about red flags, all right? Because if they're saying 10,000 streams in a month, there's no way you can guarantee 10,000 streams in a month, because it's all about how people listen to the music, all right? Unless that playlist has millions of listeners a month who just listen to everything on there, it ain't gonna happen. So for this playlist, Hip Hop Altitudes, they have about 18,000 listeners a month. It grows by about 33 listeners a day, and their main listenership is in Brazil and the US. And that kind of gives us a good idea of some of the location demographics here, because Brazil is one of my highest areas of listenership, with 82 of my monthly listeners, and in the US with 160. So that kind of checks out. Another one, Aneke93. So that is the curator or the playlister. This person shared it on a playlist called Hip Hop, a YouTube channel, and a Deezer channel, and should get me about 40 to 60 listeners a month. I'm just going to show the Spotify playlist. So they've got about 20,000 listeners in total, monthly listeners, and it grows at about 15 listeners a day. And we can actually bring up that playlist on Spotify to see what it looks like and see if I'm even still on the list. So I am still on the playlist here. I was added 2 weeks ago, and I'm at position 21. So it's not too far down on the playlist, because the playlist has 137 tracks, and I'm at position 21. That's not too bad, all right? Their listenership is Brazil and the US again. That explains the Brazilian connection. All right, so we've got a couple more. Rap Anthems, Flow Nights, I've got Shared on X and Frame TV. Okay, so Frame TV, let's see what that is. That's a blog, and I've been written about. Let's translate that, man, because I can't understand a thing that it's saying. Liam Lucian builds a proposal where UK urban music intertwines with a narrative deeply influenced by spirituality. In My Father's Son, his approach is not limited to the sound, but articulates a discourse where faith, identity, and introspection coexist with contemporary beats. So that's great. I'm not going to read all of it, but that's a good little blog post. I can tell it's not AI because it could be. It could be AI. But it seems that the person's had a good listen and a think, because they are on point with what the track is about. And then it's here embedded in, and it plays. And then they've got a couple of other tracks that they've reviewed here. So I'm in kind of like, I'm grouped together in a blog post. That I don't know how many people listen or read that blog post, but hey, it's still out there. This one's done loads. They've put me on a Spotify playlist. It's only got about 650, 60 followers a month, growing by 2 listeners a day. But they are hitting Ghana, Nigeria, and Sri Lanka. That will explain some of the Ghanaian and Nigerian listeners. In fact, I didn't really see Ghana on there, but I did see Nigeria. So it's getting me out there to places where I've never been. I've never been known, but my music's out there, right? And 2 days ago, this folded waffle posted me on a blog. Where am I? Okay, I'm here. A London-based artist and producer, self-manages his entire creative process. His sound is a unique blend of UK urban energy and gospel-rooted messaging. True. My Father's Son is a masterclass in navigating chaos while staying grounded by merging the raw, aggressive energy of UK grime with a message of faith. He creates a space that feels both urgent and peaceful. I'm not going to read it all, but hey, that's a nice little blog post. I like it there. I don't really know how many people read music blogs anymore. I feel like music blogs are a thing of the past. Now, although I'm saying that, I think it's really nice to have music bloggers, people who like and listen to music and who curate music, just listen to what you have. Half of the work when you're trying to promote music as an artist is just getting people to listen to it, and not just listen to it on their phone and be like, oh yeah, no, good man, I like it, yeah, it's cool, man. Stop it. These people are actually listening with intent, with an agenda to share. And the intention to share rather, and that's half the battle, getting people to actually listen to your work. Let's look at some of the responses, because although I did get accepted to a couple of playlists and blogs there, it's not all plain sailing, all right? There are tons of rejections. And if you're trying to break into the music scene, trying to promote yourself as an artist, trying to get people to listen to the music, be prepared for loads of rejections, all right? It's just one of those things that comes with the territory. Not everybody's going to like what you're doing. So here's one of the declines, all right? It's from a playlister in Mexico. Abundant playlist. They listened to the track 3 times for almost the entirety of the track, because it's 1 minute and 45 seconds. Before they made a decision, all right? And they said, thank you so much for sharing with me. I like your melody. You have a great beat. It's catchy, but I feel like it doesn't quite grab me because of many of the auditory elements become saturated and sound a bit distorted. So that's probably my shit mixing. And I feel like it doesn't completely captivate me, but you definitely have a great style in your music, and I wish you all the best in your future work. So that's some good feedback, all right? And I have read these before. So I put honest and kind, all right? Here's another rejection. They listened 3 times and declined. Then it says, hey, my whole name. Thank you for sending in this brilliant track. I really enjoy the vocal flow. They're very upbeat and catchy with such clarity, and the lyrics are so easy to hear and understand. The song is just a little bit too chill for my playlist. I'm looking for a normal, Logic, aggressive, gangster rap sound. I wish you all the best. And I haven't read that review yet, so I'll say that's okay. I'll say it's helpful and honest. So this person likes the tune, but it doesn't quite fit the playlist. And that's something that you've got to understand too. The listeners are not necessarily just listening for their own pleasure. They're listening with the intent to put it on a playlist that they think their listeners are gonna like. So that's the whole beauty of curating, right? And being a good curator. It's taking what you think is good and what's the best, best of what's out there. It could be food, it could be art, it could be music, and presenting it to a group of people that you think are going to like it. So although this individual kind of liked it themselves, they just didn't feel it was quite the right sound for their listenership, and it goes like that sometimes. The groove is steady, it starts to feel a bit repetitive, and the main hook didn't quite stick with me. You might try introducing more variation in the arrangement or developing a stronger melodic idea to make the song more memorable. That said, the production has a solid foundation and some nice elements. Keep creating. So I'm not going to go through all of them. There's quite a few, but it's just to give you a bit of an insight into the process of promoting this track and some other tracks, and show you how you can do it and what you can expect when you do it. So I'm going to actually go back and show you the second song that I promoted, and it's this one, The Difference. So that track, The Difference, is the one that's done the most numbers, 1,333, and is at the top of my popular list on my artist page. And it wasn't the lead single, but I noticed early on it was getting a little bit more traction than what I considered to be the lead single on its own, with no promotion, no feature, no nothing. So let's see what happened there. 3 campaigns compared to 8. Only 15 responses compared to 23. But a much higher approval rate. 60%, double the approval rate of the first campaign. Let's look at the approvals first. So shared to 8 Spotify playlists and 1 blog. That's good. I prefer it to be shared to more Spotify playlists because that's where actual listeners are. The good thing about music blogs, all right, is that they give you something called backlinks, all right? Backlinks means websites that are linking back to your content, all right? Social media doesn't tend to have much backlinks unless the post is embedded somewhere, all right? And this is showing that there's a multitude or multiple websites on there linking back to me or my work as an artist. And when websites are indexed, these are very like old terms, they may be outdated. It kind of tells the algorithms, oh, there's like 10, 3, 4, 5, 9, however many websites linking back to this one piece of content. It must be interesting, it must be worth something. So that's why the blogs are good, all right? Not necessarily listenership, but they help feed the algorithm and say, you know what, this Liam Lucian guy with this track, The Difference, it might be something, push it a little bit. This blog, this person, Purple Melon, shared it to their blog. I'm one of the 5 artists that they've promoted and written a bit of a blog piece about. Not really, and they only do 5 words. So 5 words: reflective, gospel rooted, emotive, purposeful, intricate. And then they can follow me on Instagram. Let's see if that even works. It does work. Okay, so there's a backlink to my Instagram page and my music. That's good. They made an Instagram post about me. Let's see if that's up. Okay, I'm part of a post. It's good. I'll like it. I'll save it. So I'm on this Hip Hop Essentials playlist. It has 11K listeners. It's in the US and Brazil. Again, cool. Explains why I'm up there in Brazil. I'm on another playlist, Lyrical Genius. It has 2.9K. It's in the US, Brazil, and the UK. Cool. And yeah, I'm not going to go through all of them one by one, but you can see I'm on quite a few playlists here. Drip Mode. I like that name. Drip Mode. 20K listeners a month. Yeah, nice, man. Some decent playlists out there. So I'm glad to see that. So you can see this track has been playlisted quite a bit more than the last track, which is really nice to see. And I should expect between 600 and 1,000 listeners over the course of 3 months. So it's not overnight. All these people promising 10,000 listeners in a week, in 2 weeks, in a month even. These are way overinflated, and they're most likely to be bots or farmed or some sort of mechanical way of producing streams. All right, you can see here I'm on some playlist with 20,000 listeners a month, but the realistic expectation is to only see about 600 to 1,000 streams within 3 months. All right, because it's gradual. Not everybody out of those 20,000 listeners is going to click on and stream your tune. All right, some are going to click on it, and some are going to click on it, hear 10-20 seconds and click off because they don't like it. And I could be wrong, but the last time I checked, it was 30 seconds minimum for of streaming time for it to be considered one stream. If they click off before 30 seconds, it's not considered a stream. All right, 600 to 1,000 listeners growth over the next 3 months, I'm happy with. You know, I'm sitting on 900 at the moment, and to have a listenership of about 1,000 people in the first month to 3 months, I'm really good with, actually. You know, let's look at some of the responses. So, like I said, not all they're not all acceptances. Some of them are rejections. All right, so these are all acceptances. Here's a rejection. Thank you for, this is in the Ukraine, dance project. Helium, thanks for the submission. Really good, chilling and vibey tune. Like the flow, the melody with back vocals are dope. For us, unfortunately, this one not really the best fit. We're looking for more up-tempo club banger music. Kindly, we're going to pass this time. Wish you the best with the release. And I'll say that was specific enough because I haven't responded to these. It was helpful, it was honest, it was thoughtful. Yeah, fine. The flow was catchy and well produced, my guy. The vibe was smooth with nice breath control, but I'm sadly going to have to decline it because the vocals were being drowned by the mix at times and they were almost inaudible. It was a good song, but the mix was what held it back for me. Stay blessed. So improvements for me to make on my mixing. You know, that's one thing as an artist, you know, as you put music out, it's kind of like a landmark of where you are in your artistry, in your technical ability, and, you know, wherever else. And for me as the producer, the mixer, the engineer, the writer, all of those things, I guess as I get better in all those areas, hopefully my music should get better. It should become more refined. And that's one thing I always told my students about releasing music. A lot of people sit in on a lot of music because it's not quite ready. It's not quite perfect, sir. I'm not ready to release it, sir. It needs this, it needs that. I'm like, listen, just release it as it is. Don't release garbage. Don't just release any old trash that sounds horrible. Refine it. But once you've got it to the best of your ability, accept that that's where you are in your artistry, in your ability, and let it go. All right? And that will allow you to get feedback, allow you to see the response to it, and allow you to go back and look at it and be like, raw, I can actually do better next time. I'm gonna do better next time. Watch. And then the next piece you put out should hopefully be a little bit better than the last. And then you have that landmark again, and you'll be able to go back and say, all right, I can hear where it weren't so great now. Because 2, 3, 4 months later, your ears are gonna evolve and become refined, and you're going to become a little bit more evolved and refined, hopefully, and be able to spot the little mistakes or spot the little areas where you can think, oh, actually, no, the mix can be better. My vocals could be better here. I could actually rewrite it a bit better. All right, so what does this one say? Thank you for sending this one. Where's this person from? I'm not sure what country that is. Somewhere in Europe? Poland. It does tell me where. Poland. Thank you for sending me this one. The song is definitely worse mixed than My Father's Son. It's quieter, sounds less full, your vocals more harsh in the mid-range, sounds sizzle in the negative way. Sibilants, I do have a lot of sibilants. Sibilants stick out the vocal, even breaths are sharp. Beat is good and your vocal works with the beat, but vocal sounds really cheap to me on this one. Harsh. I think that if you had great mixing engineer, it could be an awesome record, but it sounds chaotic when arrangement builds up, especially on the end and that cheap sound of the vocal is unacceptable for my playlist. I search for top-notch quality. I think that flow and vibe is really proper, but mix is the weakest link here. Waiting for another one from you. Have fun doing music. Salute to you, bro. And I'll say specific enough, technical, it's helpful, and it's honest, I think. And this is another acceptance. So I'm a bit curious as to what this guy is putting on his playlists, actually. He's got 4 public playlists. I'm not sure which one mine would have gone for. Maybe chill rap and hip hop. It's got Many Men on by 50 on it. T.I., 50 Cent, Tony Yayo, G Unit, Lloyd Banks, Snoop. These are quite commercial. I see he's got his own stuff interlaced with it. That makes sense. Tony Yayo, Jagged Edge, Hobson. These are quite commercial. Akon. These are not stuff. If I'm honest, these are tracks that I would never. Child of the Night, I like that track by Ludacris. Gonna get in you, child of the night, baby, and the beat goes on. That's one of my favorites off that album. That's a good album. So one track that I liked on it. So I don't even think my track was a good fit for that. I'm an underground, kind of raw, upcoming new artist, not very refined. On the grime and UK side as well. This seems like a very commercial American rap. It kind of makes sense to me why I didn't make it today. I'm nowhere near as refined and accomplished as those artists. But hey, maybe at some point I can get to there, you know what I mean? And that's part of the beauty of growing and working and developing as an artist, right? All right, so I'm not going to go through any more of those. What I'm going to do now, though, is show you how much I spent, all right? Because I've got some credits that I haven't used, all right? So I've still got in my account 76 premium credits, and that's how SubmitHub works. You buy credits and you use those credits to fund pitching your track before curators, playlisters, influencers. So on March the 16th, when this campaign started, it'd already been out about a month nearly, from Feb 23rd or whatever it was to March the 16th, no promo. All right, and then about March the 16th, halfway through March, started to hit it with some promo, all right? Because I wanted it to get its own traction, find its own way in the first month, all just completely organically, with no kind of really help from me. So these campaigns they're finished running now, but they ran for about 15 days, let's say, all right, from the 16th to now. And I spent $111 for the first campaign, which was My Father's Son, me and Kohar. So $111, let's do a currency converter. 111, that's £83 in total there. And if we bring up the calculator, let's see how much that is in real money. So 83 plus 100 for the Spotify campaign. That brings us up to £183 so far. That's nearly 200 quid. And then an additional £45 to promote The Difference. $45, sorry. So let's see how much that is in real money. 33 quid. So let's add another 33. Brings us to a grand total of £216. Now I did purchase an additional 70 credits for £60, but for $60, but I never used it. It's still there sitting in my account. 76 premium credits, which I didn't use. So in total, in terms of pushing 2 tracks, I spent £216. So that's about £108 per track. If we just divide that by 2, just to make sure my maths is right, it is. So I spent £108 promoting 2 tracks, which is technically not correct, because 100 of that was promoting the entire EP, and the other, so £116 then So 116 divided by 2. So I spent £58 promoting 2 tracks on their own and £100 promoting the album or the EP as a whole. All right, so just to make sure my numbers are right, 100 plus 58 plus 58 gives us 216. So there you go. So in total, I spent 216 promoting my father's son for the first month, and that resulted in me gaining 902 total listeners, 93 playlist ads, which is incredible. You can see that from my SubmitHub campaign. It only really got added to about 14 playlists from my SubmitHub campaign. Those other playlists though, which I wish it would show. That's one thing about Spotify. It doesn't really show great detail when it comes to playlists, does it? Which is annoying. So the difference is on 18 playlists. One of them is a Spotify editorial day list. That's good. That's an official Spotify playlist. And radio is an official Spotify playlist. It's like pushed to people's radio streams, so that's good. And 182 streams coming off of that, which is great. And these ones are just like people's playlists. So 2 Spotify editorials for that track. That's not too bad. That's in the last 28 days. Let's look in total, the last 12 months, 20 playlists. But my father's son's on more playlists, 24 playlists. Let's see what they are. Radio, Smart Shuffle. It's only showing 6 of 10 playlists in the last 28 days. What about the last 12 months? 14 playlists. So it's not really great at showing me what playlists I'm on. I would love to see more specifically what playlists these songs are on, especially as I've had 93 playlist ads. Hey, Spotify, you need to up your game in terms of your analytics. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that gives you a really good bit of insight, and I hope it was interesting, and I hope it gives you a bit of encouragement, because if I can do it, you can definitely do it. I've spent £220 roughly promoting this EP, which is nothing really. You know, let's say from late February to early April, let's say £100 a month. You know, £100 a month to invest in and promote your music is not really much, you know. Just put some money aside, you know, however you make your money, £100, and then spend it wisely, you know. What I'm doing, and I've always taught my students when I was a music lecturer, is look, you don't have to spend tons and tons of money to promote your work or your music, but you can promote effectively if you kind of understand what you're doing, especially as an independent artist with no backing, no management, no label, no advance, no nothing like that. I mean, I was watching a clip of Michael Dapper talking to Darko, and she said she's got to spend 40 bags to drop a tune, and Michael Dapper's like, 40 bags to drop a tune? What, right now you got to spend 40k to drop a tune? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, on what? She's like, video, promo, video and promo. That's absolutely insane. I haven't really done any music videos for these tracks, but when I do, I'll either have a friend do it and help me, or do it myself, you know. Just like the promo, I'll do it myself. Now Darko has hundreds of thousands of listeners. Big up, respect to her. But I don't want to spend 40k just to put a tune out, you know. That, let's have a look at Darko. 3.4 mil listeners a month. I mean, that's insane. I'm nowhere near that league, nowhere near that level. But if being at that level means I have to pay I don't want to be at that level and have to spend 40k. Like, if I was at this level I'm at now and spent 40k to drop a tune, that might make more sense, because I've got no influence, no say, no nothing, no audience, no nothing. So 40k investment to drop a tune to get my name and my image and my sound out there makes more sense, but it doesn't make sense to me to be at 3.4 million listeners and still be spending 40k to drop a tune. That maths doesn't quite add up to me personally. But hey, what do I know? All right, like I said, I'm going to leave it there. Hope it's been interesting, insightful, and I hope it gives you a little bit more understanding of some paths, or a path that you can take in terms of promoting your music and getting it out there. What I will do at a later stage is show you some more numbers, show you what kind of revenue that these streams have kind of gained so far, and yeah, just keep you updated on this musical business, industry, artist journey. All right, peace.